spend some time going over the concept and the first principles of native image ad copy and images that go along with it. And then we can obviously get into the specific trainings. And this is the stuff a lot of people skip over. They want to just get straight into the strategy, but they don't realize that understanding the principles is what ultimately will make a difference for them. And these people will see the most results that understand why this works and not just what to do to make it work, right? So what is native image ads? A native image ad is a long-form Facebook post written to read like something a real person shared from their own life that uses a personal story to move a cold stranger from unaware to ready to buy. Native means it looks like it belongs on the feed. The reader does not immediately know it's an ad. So regular ads, you're going to see stuff like clinically proven results, 10,000 happy customers buying now, limited time. And what you have to understand, Facebook is changing. The way consumers see ads is changing. We are advertised a million times a day. And actually, I have a statistic in the next section here, actually breaking down how many times the average person sees an ad. So this strategy allows us to cut through the loud noise of competitive advertising with a ton of video ads and all the different ads we see, and allow us to create native ads that sounds more like this, right? At 52, I finally stopped apologizing for how I look in photos. It wasn't a new diet. It was the moment I understood. It was the moment I understood that was actually happening to my skin at the cellular level. The reader sees this and thinks, someone I know posted this. Let me read it. The scroll stops. And that's the whole idea, right? So get someone to stop the scroll and then start selling them with the storytelling. So native versus everything else, the key differences. So traditional ads are going to have short copy, headline plus tagline. Native image ads are going to have 1,200 to 1,500 words. It can vary. It can be 1,700, 1,800, almost even 2,000, or it could be shorter. I've seen some as low as 700 to 800 words. 1,200 to 1,500 is just the average I took. So it could be in and out of that range. There's no big deal. Now, if you're new to this concept, you might think there's no way someone's going to read all that. Well, let me ask you this. Are people not reading books anymore? Are people not reading articles anymore? People still read books, articles, people still read. So just because you're not reading doesn't mean other people are not. And that's one of the biggest things you have to understand. You cannot put your feelings and emotions in the position as an advertiser. You have to understand what the market wants and what your target audience wants and cater to that, not what you think people do or do not. All right. So furthermore, traditional ads announce the product up front. In native image ads, products enter naturally inside the story. They kind of get just dropped in and placed in. Claims and features listed, experience and discovery described. Clearly looks like an advertisement versus reads like a personal Facebook post. Interrupts the reader, becomes a part of the reader's feed experience, sells the first sentence, earns the right to sell over 7 sections. And we'll talk about those sections in just a moment. Why Facebook specifically? Facebook feed is built around personal storytelling. People share life updates, experiences, things they discovered. Native ad written in that same voice and format blends into the environment it lives in. The reader's brain is already in read this personal post mode. A native ad keeps them there. A traditional ad breaks that mode and gets people to skip. So of course, video ads and all that stuff still works, still do well. It's not to say video ads are better than native image ads or one or the other. It's just to say, okay, what are the strengths to native image ads and how can we lean in on those strengths as much as possible? All right. So why it actually works. This is not just copywriting technique. It's built in on human brains process information, build trust, and make decisions. Understanding the psychology behind it tells you why every element of the system is designed the way it is. So this is to my point. So there are going to be new scripts, new prompts that we use to create copy. But if you understand the core principles here, you'll always be able to make good copy. So the ad blindness problem. The average person sees 3,000 to 5,000 ads per day. The brain developed a filter to block them out automatically. Anything that looks like an ad gets ignored before it reads. So this is going to lead to higher CPMs, higher CPCs, lower CTRs. So if your ad metrics are bad, the first thing you're probably going to message me and say, Alex, my CPMs are high. What should I do? My CTR is high or is low. What should I do? The first thing that you need to understand is why is it high in the first place? And a good reason probably is not necessarily because your ad or image is bad, but it doesn't necessarily resonate with your audience. And just because you wrote good copy doesn't mean it's perceived well by your target audience. And we're going to talk about how we can ensure that we do this, but that is one of the main reasons why people's ads don't perform. Another element to this is the mirror effect. When a reader sees their exact situation described in another person's words, their brain registers it as a personal relevance. Not, this is interesting, but this is about me. That feeling is what stops the scroll. It's the most powerful attention signal that exists in the feed. So it's going to be very important that we get people to stop the scroll. And one of the ways to do that is to use the mirror effect. We want people to see themselves in the same story. And to do that, we need to know the words that they use to describe their own pain. And we need to know the situations and scenarios that they go through on a day-to-day basis. Storytelling equals trust. The human brain processes stories differently from information. A list of benefits triggers skepticism, right? If I'm saying this is the best blue light glasses in the world because it has this feature and that feature, it's going to trigger skepticism. A story triggers identification. When someone is inside a story, their critical filter lowers. They're not evaluating claims. They're following a person through an experience. And that's what we're trying to sell. The new information effect. When a story reveals something the reader did not know, a reason why the problem exists that they never were told, it creates a specific psychological response. Relief that there is an explanation, that relief opens the door for the solution. So think about it. Think about you and your current situation, right? For those of you that maybe have tried something in the past, like Facebook ads or something. I know for me, for a while, I was doing TikTok ads. I tried TikTok, Snapchat ads. And I kept struggling with them. And then one day I was watching a YouTube video and some guy was like, TikTok ads and Snapchat ads just don't work because the demographics on those platforms are not used to spending a ton of money. Facebook ads, on the other hand, has people that spend more money. And that's the way to scale brands. When I heard that, opened up my perspective and made me feel happy because it's like, oh, the reason why my ads weren't working is because the audience that I was selling to just didn't have money. So I go over to Facebook, boom. That's what I wanted to hear. And that's what people like to hear. They want to hear the reason why things have not been working for you, why your hair hasn't been growing, why you can't lose the weight, why you're, this reason or that reason. It's because you didn't know about this secret technique out there that no one else was telling you about. And that's the reason why you're struggling. So social proof through identification. Traditional ads say 10,000 customers love us. Native ads show one specific person whose story matches the readers. One true mirror is more convincing than 1,000 generic testimonials. The reader does not need to believe in numbers. They need to believe in a person they recognize. That's why UGC content is done so well as far as video ads. All it takes is just one person describing their situation in a video and explaining why this product worked really well for them to get someone to buy. That's why UGC does really well. We're basically taking the elements of what UGC videos do and creating native copy. And then earned attention. A native ad earns every second of reading time it gets. The hook stops the scroll. Each section earns the next read. By the time the product appears, the reader has already spent several minutes with the narrator. That investment creates a completely different relationship with the recommendation. So if someone's going to sit down, and I agree with you, right? You're probably thinking, man, that's a lot of copy, right? Someone has to read 1,200 words, 1,400 words before they're ready to buy. That's kind of what we want. We're kind of pre-framing the lead and setting the right expectation. The good thing about it is that Facebook will optimize based off of what we tell it to optimize for. So if we're optimizing for people that are going to sit through and read a long form copy, that's a good sign. That means that person is more than likely to buy from us. And the more that we get those types of people, the better and healthier our marketing will be for our business. So the direct response principle. Direct response marketing means every piece of copy is written to produce a specific measurable action right now from the specific person in response to the specific message. Not brand awareness, not reach, a click, a purchase, a measurable response. So the direct response mindset, every word has a job, no decoration. You write for one specific person, not everyone. The copy is tested and measured, not guessed. Results are the only judge of quality. What it is not is writing copy you personally think sounds good, building a brand voice for its own sake, writing for maximum reach with no measurable goal, hoping the person or the right people will find it. So you don't write a native ad to be like, you write it to move on. Sorry, let me reread that. You don't write a native ad to be liked. You write it to move one specific person from where they are to where they want to be, and you put your product at that destination. So that's the ultimate goal there. So here's the structure of kind of how that's going to look. So native story ad has a specific architecture. Each part has one job. Understanding what each part does and why it tells you exactly what to do or what to fix when something isn't working. So this is where you're going to really, really need to lock in here. People will run their ad copy. Something won't work. The results won't look good. The ads won't spend, or the ads will spend and not be profitable. And the first thing they love to say is, I don't know what to do. Why, my ads aren't performing. What should I do? There is a very important structure that we like to follow, and we kind of want to treat ourselves and act like scientists. And we're going to come up with theories based off of what we think works, what doesn't work, and then test and go from there. So one of the most important things, if not the most important thing in your copy, is your hook. No one's going to stop the scroll and hit the see more button to read the entire copy unless the hook is captivating and engaging. So the first two lines, line one stops the scroll of your specific avatar. Line two creates curiosity that makes them need to keep reading. These two lines are the most important in the entire ad. If they fail, nothing gets read. So line one's job is to stop the scroll, speak directly to one specific person, make them feel seen. Line two, tease the mechanism, open information gap, sell the read, not the product. So basically create an open loop, right? We as humans like to close loops. If I tell you, man, I was going bald for so long until I came up with this one strategy, until I found this one product that completely allowed my hair to grow back thicker, fuller, and healthier, and I didn't need to do minoxidil or go to Turkey. That's an open loop because now what is that product, right? If I'm someone that's losing hair, now I got to figure out what is it. I didn't have to go to Turkey and I don't have to use minoxidil, and he was able to grow your hair back thicker, fuller, and healthier. What could that possibly be? So that's very important. So the lead, which is about 150 to 200 words, give or take. Don't worry too much about the word count. Just understand what the lead is. Expands the hook into the opening of the story, sets the scene, establishes who we are speaking to, deepens the emotional state, and the job is to make stop feeling like a mistake. No product, no solution, no mechanism yet, right? So we're not trying to say over promote the product or anything like that. We're just trying to. So what have your target audience done in the past that didn't work for them? Reflects the self story that avatar tells themselves. Makes the problem feel heavier than it did before they started reading. No solution hinted, no product, pure pain, but the pain the reader recognizes as their own. The mechanism reveal, the pivot, so introduces the real cause of the problem the avatar never knew about, explains why every failed solution did not work at the root cause. Done right, the reader thinks nobody has ever explained it to me this way, but still we're not introducing the product yet, right? We're still earning that through the first two steps. Now, step 4 is the solution bridge, 3 beats. So the discovery moment, how the narrative stumbled onto the product, the first experience, what it felt like to using that product for the first time and why it was different. And then the product through experience, what it actually is describing through the narrative's experience, not a featured list. So we're not trying to say, well, this feature, this product has this functionality, this functionality, this functionality. We're just simply trying to storytell the actual experience that the person is going through after using the product for a little bit. And then last but not least is the CTA and optional close. The CTA surfaces the product through the narrative's personal motivation for sharing it, not a sales pitch, right? So I'm only sharing this because I was struggling with this for so long and I didn't want to hear, and I hope to, hope somebody else overcome the same problem that I was going through. So it feels very genuine and authentic. The platform gap is explained through the mechanism. The engagement farming line drives comments, and optional objection close at the end addresses the I've tried things before resistance for skeptical audiences. So every section earns the next one. The hook earns section 1, section 1 earns section 2. The mechanism reveal earns a solution bridge. If you skip a step or rush through one, the reader drops out. They did not tell you they dropped out. They just stopped reading. This is why the order is not optional, right? So we want to make sure we follow this to the best of our ability. Now, of course, what goes along with the long form copy is the image itself. So images are going to look different depending on the product you're selling, depending on your niche, depending on your audience. So the image is very important too. This also helps stop the scroll along with the hook. So we have a couple different image types we like to use. It's more about what we're trying to convey in the image more so than anything. So image 1, the pain moment. So this type of image captures the emotional state from sections 1 or 2. No product, no resolution implied, just pure recognition. The reader sees themselves. So let me give you an example of this. So an example of this could be something like this, right? So if I had hair in the drain, if I was selling a hair growth product and I was speaking to women that noticed that their hair was coming out by a lot, a good image, native image to use for this would be something like this, right? Some hair caught in the drain. This captures a moment and an experience that resonates with the target audience. And I'm not like overly promoting the product or anything like that. I'm not even promoting anything. I'm just capturing an experience. I'm Snapchatting a moment through the customer's journey. So this is important because it should be something that resonates with them. It should feel like something that they've seen, and it also should feel organic and natural on Facebook. So it shouldn't be anything like too crazy or too unnatural, because that's also going to be a dead giveaway that this is an ad. So this just feels natural, like someone just took it on their iPhone. A lot of times those are the images that work the best. Okay. Another image too is the discovery moment. A snapshot of the moment of the narrator encountered the product, captured mid-moment, not posed. Product may be visible, but it's not the subject. So another example of this would be like right here. So the product here, in this case, is like a potato oil, but you don't really see any labeling. You don't see a brand name on the product, but it's just there. And now it sparks curiosity. And now the person's wondering, what is that? And how does that help the person, in this case, regrow their hair? And then image 3 is the after detail. One small specific change the narrator noticed, not a transformation, a quiet private moment she photographed herself, not just an ad. So, something like this, the person growing hair thicker, fuller, whatever, that's an example of that as well. So those are just some native images, and we can create these images using Higgsfield, Nano Pro. But the premise here is that we have a couple different concepts and ideas, and how we source these images is through prompting, or we can go directly on Facebook and go through and type in the problem that our target audience is facing and see what organic posts were made on Facebook that we can reuse and leverage for our own ads. More on that in the strategy later. So native images, this is what it should look like, right? So it should look like it was taken on a phone, not a camera. Feel like a moment that actually happened, signal an emotion before a word is read. So I will say, obviously, like this is like a core experience, an example that we use, but in the same breath, like I just mentioned, sometimes depending on your niche and your industry, you can just grab an image that was posted organically. So in this example here, selling an Ethiopian Bible, and this post here went organic. It was posted organically and did really well and went viral organically. So I just nabbed that organic post, ran it through AI to change it up a little bit, and then I ran it as an ad. So it doesn't always have to be an image that was taken on an iPhone, or it has to look super realistic. Sometimes it could just be whatever captivates and speaks to your target audience the best. So that's why one of those things you're gonna have to test and see. And the biggest indicating factor will be your CPMs and your metrics. And we'll talk about that, your CPCs and all that stuff later on in this training. So this is a couple examples of what you want. You never really want it to just be, the product, or just have it be like stock images or anything like that. A ton of logos and text and brand elements. It should just feel natural and organic. And we like to normally have these in a 1-by-1 format. So we'll quickly go over metrics. We'll talk way more on the metrics later on, but just a quick overview here. One of the cool things about the different strategies and the different metrics will allow us to understand what we need to focus on in our copy. So stage 1 is hook quality, right? We want to see some good CPMs, a good engagement score, CPCs and all that stuff. We want to see if there's good, people liking, engaging, commenting. Something else we like to look at is CTR, right? The click-through rate, what percentage of people are going through and clicking to get on your product page. Obviously your ROAS, your cost per purchase, your add to cart rates are some other things we look at. And depending on where you're advertising to, these benchmarks are going to look a little different. The general rule of thumb though is that we look at data in 3-day windows. So you're going to launch ads on, I guarantee this is going to happen to you. I guarantee. And I'm going to point you back to this exact moment in this video. I guarantee that you're going to launch ads on day 1. You're going to spend some money and you're probably not going to have any ad cards. You might not get any sales. I guarantee. And you're probably going to halfway through the day see no results coming through, and you're going to message me and say, Alex, I know you said not to message you on day 1, but I'm still going to message you anyway. I'm not getting any sales or anything like that. Should I be worried? Is this normal? Like my CPMs are really high. What should I do? And I'm going to point you back to this exact training, and I'm going to tell you, go back and watch this exact section right here. I don't care what happens on day 1. Day 1 is not enough time to have any determining factor. Think about what you're asking for. You're asking for on day 1, you should automatically just be getting sales and getting, add cards and initiate checkouts on day 1. Is it possible? Is that something that would be nice to see? Yeah. But just because you don't see it on day 1 does not mean you did something wrong. Doesn't mean anything bad. It takes Facebook time to optimize and get the right audience. It has to sift through millions of people every day that scour the internet and are already being shown ads already. So please, I'm going to refer you back to this training again. After you go through all this stuff, you set up your ads and everything, please watch the testing phase protocol trainings. Watch all the trainings in there before you even shoot me a message, because I guarantee whatever question you have, I've already answered it. If we go here inside the community and type in ads, there's 731 posts about people asking questions about their ads. And I guarantee, we've already talked about it, or my CPMs are not, good. If we type in CPMs, we have a bunch of people talking about their CPMs and why it's not good. And I promise you, you've already put together trainings tackling CTR, right? My CPC, ROAS, right? Like you could go through every single metric under the book. I promise you, someone's already messaged me about it. Someone's already asked me about it. I've already put together on training. So just so you guys are aware, you're not the first one to have bad metrics in the first 2 days. I promise you. So you can go through this what's wrong sentiment here. If you're ever lost or confused, go back to this. So if you see high CPMs, low engagement rate, that means your hook failed. Low CPMs, low see more data rate, which we'll talk about, that means your hook stopped the scroll, but it wasn't visible to get people to actually go through. So there's an entire kind of breakdown here. You guys could read this and go through the what to fix section here. And then also you can also take a look at it and see what type of comments you're getting, and that can help determine what people are saying about your ad as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You can also go through these quick rules here. This is just a summary of what we already captured in today's training. So now we can start getting into some of the saucier stuff before we dive in fully here.